Well, Scott, we finally got the breakout of what is going on with Xbox and the whole potential of everything going over to PlayStation. And it's really just business as usual at the end of the day, right? Microsoft will we're going to break it out. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to break it out today. So that we pick and choose your little segments of what you want to watch. Because there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening in about a 24-minute podcast they had yesterday. A lot of information. And there's a lot of me soaking it all in. And then having some deeper thoughts on things. So here's the interesting part when it first started, because they're like, let's just get the biggest topic. Let's get the elephant out of the room, right? Microsoft will bring 4 games to rival consoles, teases next-gen Xbox. This is Stephen Totillo. Microsoft is bringing 4 games to rival consoles in a move in its framing as an experiment to reach more players. Microsoft is not naming the games or platforms, but GameFile expects the 4 to be Rare's 2020 multiplayer pirate game, Sea of Thieves, Tango Gameworks' 2023 rhythm combat game, Hi-Fi Rush, and 2 from Obsidian, a medieval murder mystery Pentiment, as well as the studio's multiplayer survival adventure, Grounded. Scott, we saw the rumors flying around on all of this. This was very much to be expected.
These and more.
These and more. But Phil said yesterday, 4 titles only for now. They want to experiment and they want to learn. But all these titles have been over a year old. That's the other side of it, right? And then question flat out came right out and said, are we getting Starfield and are we getting Indiana Jones on other platforms? Phil said no, just these 4 titles and let's see where they go, right? I think that's the biggest thing. So
refused to name the 4, but stated that the 4 do not include Starfield.
Which is disappointing, right? Because we already know. Dude, everybody already knows what's happening. We know the Hi-Fi Rush is coming. Hi-Fi Rush is part of that conversation, right? It's already been in there. It's already been talked about numerous times. We already know Sea of Thieves is pretty well in the conversation as well, and it makes a ton of sense. Sea of Thieves has got a huge install base, but now let's open it up and bring it to others. Let's get into the rest of the article. I'm less clear in which of those games will come to PlayStation and which to Switch. Announcements are not too far away, per Microsoft. But reported back in January 8th, the Sea of Thieves was planned for PlayStation. The move is not a change to our fundamental exclusive strategy, Microsoft gaming chief Phil Spencer said in an official Xbox podcast announcing the news. He described it as yet another effort to ensure the long-term health of Xbox's platform. Quote, "We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow," he said. "And we think this is the interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises." The 4 games are all more than a year old, and while Microsoft didn't name them, they went out of their way to say they're not the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, nor the last year's Starfield. Spencer told me in an interview ahead of podcast release that the year or longer gap between a release on Xbox PC and its release on rival consoles for these first 4 games isn't meant to indicate anything about the company's strategy with porting other future titles. Quote, "I don't know what's going to happen when we ship these 4 games on other platforms," end quote, he said. Quote, "Like, what is the return on the investment to port them to those platforms? And do we find a community there for those games? Is that going to make sense?" End quote. Spencer acknowledged to me that people might wonder, I'm speaking as Stephen Totillo here, just bear with me. Spencer acknowledged to me personally, no, it would be nice. Someday he'll join us. To people that might wonder what Microsoft is promising for future games, quote, "We've said from the beginning of even the post-deal announcement, Bethesda Roundtable, that we will take it on a kind of case-by-case basis. We're really focused on the best thing for the Xbox business, inclusive of platform hardware and games." Scott, let's get into it. What are your thoughts on this? What happened yesterday? Does this even matter?
Well, there are a lot of moving pieces to this. Like you said, this is a ball of threads, and you pull one, and an entire topic comes out of it. So,
yeah, pretty well.
Attempting to get into this, there's a lot of really interesting things that are focused on here. The long-term health of Xbox. This is not the first step into shutting down and becoming third party necessarily. There's a lot of emphasis on, yeah, not Sega. There's a lot of emphasis on hardware still. That's supposed to be still the premium place to experience it.
Yeah.
Game Pass, not jumping around to these other things. It is just these 4 titles. So it's a lot of clearing the air. And that's really appreciated on my part. But beyond that, there's not really conclusive answers here. We know we're not getting Indiana Jones. Okay. But immediately after that is stated, well, these aren't going to be the rules going forward. We're taking it by a case-by-case basis. Meaning, to me, I take that to mean it doesn't have to be a year old for the title. That's not a prerequisite.
I do find that interesting. That is the Sony model, right? Almost the Sony model. 6 months to a year later.
Yeah, well, that's interesting and a subtopic of its own, really. The way that Sony's also kind of slowly edging into this space too, but I think it is a good move on the part of Pentiment, on the part of Hi-Fi Rush. These single-player games, to bring them into a new market after their past peak. Not past prime. I like past peak being the term.
Sure.
But bring that to a new market and get a whole new spin out of it. And I think that's down to helping out the individual studios. Excuse me. I think the reason Phil wasn't able to announce, here's dates, here's confirmation, I think that's a legal new ground. I don't know if Xbox has ever done this exactly, and there might be within their laws, within their end user agreements, their business partnerships, they might not be able to announce on behalf of the developer or the publisher.
I just would have liked to have seen that, hey, yes, you guys have heard the rumors. We can confirm it's this title, this title, this title, this title. When they come is up to the studio, right? Like, we already know, man, we know. I'd be shocked at this point if it is not something else like Sea of Thieves, right? And it is a different title altogether. Or Hi-Fi Rush. We've heard so much from the inside out coming that it is these 4 titles. So then, in that case, why not just get it out of the way and then allow the team then to set it up?
It's further complicated.
I know.
Further complicated because we don't know which title is going to which platform. And I think that's another, who has the right to kind of announce that? Nintendo has rumored Nintendo Direct that kind of skedaddled out of the way of the Xbox business update, and it's believed that we're going to get the announcement of which ones are coming. I would bet Hi-Fi Rush. I would bet Grounded. I think we'll get an announcement out of them to coincide with that. And likewise, I think PlayStation is going to have to come to their own kind of announcement. It's hard to say because this information just implicates so many different companies.
Yeah. The funny part is, do you not think they put all 4 titles on both platforms?
I want to say it's possible, but then we get into what can the Nintendo Switch run online.
Oh man, I don't know. Right? Yeah, I think they could pull off a Hi-Fi Rush. Dude, they got Mortal Kombat 1 on there. Right? Like, think about that. Mortal Kombat 1. Granted, it is not pretty.
It eventually.
it is not a pretty take for the Switch to run a Mortal Kombat 1. But if that runs there, Pentiment, easy fit. Right? I think that is a good fit there. Hi-Fi Rush, probably pretty decent as well. Sea of Thieves, dude, that is a big, big game. And there's a lot of things going on in that world. Just the water physics alone would probably crush the Switch. Right? Like
before we're talking about online functionality.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see them trying to avoid their games of service on the Switch, because I just don't really think that's a platform for them. I think it's more set up for more on the side of the PlayStation in that case. But I can see all 4 of these games going to PlayStation, no problem. The Switch is the one that is concerning because it's just so underpowered compared to where everything else is today, right? All these standards of where we are now in the industry, Nintendo's not there. Like, they have their own rules and they follow their own guidelines and do what they want to do over there. So I'm curious to see what does come to the Switch. But again, right, Pentiment, I think, makes a lot of sense to be there, and so does Hi-Fi Rush.
Well, here's a pie-in-the-sky idea. Maybe the reason we haven't had these announcements come directly from Phil is because Nintendo has to announce it alongside their hardware. New hardware that would be capable of running that. It's still rumored to be this holiday season, so I'm not sure if these coincide.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Something to keep in the
take.
back of your mind.
Yeah, fair enough. Switch 2 announced with the launch of Sea of Thieves. Dude, that's an interesting take. Absolutely. But yeah, there we go. 4 games. We pretty well know what they are, but no confirmation.
Island. I'm so scared. Give up, Refood. You're fighting real pirates now.